Good afternoon, happy stampers. Welcome to my happy stamping studio. My name is Judy Anderson, and I'm an independent demonstrator from the United States and the team leader to the Happy Stampers and Ink team. I'd like to welcome you today to this class, Back to the Basics. This is where we're going to explore some of the basics of stamping, whether you're a first-time stamper or a veteran stamper. You can always learn something, I believe. So, hello to my Facebook viewers, whether you're watching live or on replay. Please say hi. Let me know where you're coming from. If you're watching on replay, please just comment, reply, and hi. And if you're watching on my YouTube channel, welcome to my channel. Make sure you subscribe so that you are notified every time I come on live or when I post a video. So, back to the basics today. I am going to be doing a little bit of watercoloring, and we're just going to be working with stamps, inks, and paper, and a punch. I forgot to put that in the description, but we are probably going to be using a punch or two. So this week I am bringing you projects with the Splendid Days Suite. And we started out with, on Monday, with a light, very soothing card. Yesterday, I brought you one where we did some watercoloring and some masking on it, and it was more of a fall themed. And I thought, well, let's try a December theme project with this so I can show you how you'd use it year round. So let's get started. Okay, so here we are. Oops, let me just raise this up a little bit. I don't know, it seems to drop when I'm not here. I must have had some little fairies come in. So the Splendid Days Suite is found on pages 64 and 65 of our July to December mini catalog. And today we're concentrating pretty much on just the stamp set because we're going back to the basics. I'm going to remove all of this out of the way. Okay, and so here's the stamp set. Here's the dies. We've used those already. We're not going to be using those today. Make sure that you do give, StreamYard, oh my gosh, StreamYard permission to post your comments so that I can see your comments. Okay, and I was just checking to make sure that I was live, and it does say I am. Let me grab a little drink of water here. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Splendid Thoughts. I'm also going to be using some of our Fluid 100 watercolor paper because we are doing a watercolor wash, and we'll be stamping on this also. Our card base is Real Red, and it measures 5.5 by 11.5, scored right down the middle at 4 1/4 today. Then our next layer is a layer of shaded spruce, and it measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches down. Now, I wanted to cut my watercolor paper in front of you because normally we talked in the very first class when we talked about papers and paper cutting. I said normally our layers are 1/4 inch apart. So our next layer would normally be 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, but I wanted to do a little bit bigger mat. So I am going to not cut it at 3 3/4. I'm going to go all the way to 3 1/2. Okay, which means we're going to have a little bit bigger border of that shaded spruce. So once again, I'm going to flip it, and normally we would go to 5 inches, but I want that extra 1/4 inch, so we're going to 4 3/4. Okay, I'm going to show you what that's going to look like, and I have the hiccups, so you need to excuse me. So see, when we put these on, we're going to have a larger mat around that shaded spruce than we do the Real Red. And the reason being is I am thinking of bringing in some Real Red ribbon. And I just wanted a little bit more. So we're not going to secure those down yet. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do our watercolor wash on here. And I'm basically going to squeeze the bottom of my ink pad and up to the lid, or to the lid down to the base. And you're going to see when I open this up, I have that little pool, and that's plenty of ink. Actually, the ink that I had here would probably have been enough ink. I'm going to take my watercolor painter, squeeze some water in there, and I'm just going to wet the paper just a little bit. I don't want a lot of water, but I do want to wet it because I want my ink to move around. Okay, I'm going to drop a couple drops here in the lid. I'll do that so you can see it. So I have a couple drops of water there, and I'm going to pick up some ink. Okay, so I am going to virtually just wash this across. Okay, and I'm just making a background. If I want more, I'm going to squeeze some more water and go in here, not going into the ink as much, because I do want a little bit of that variegated color, and just going down again, just like that. So I've got that color, and it's a gorgeous color. We are going to be stamping in this color also, and I actually forgot, if you remember, I did a segment on watercoloring before, and I did tell you should water the back of your paper too so it doesn't curl up like it was, and see how it started to straighten out already. Okay, so we want that to dry for just a second here, and while that's drying, I'm going to discuss what I'm going to use. So I am going to use this image here and this image here. So I'm just going to basically do some greenery. We might use this image here, and this does color. These, they are not perfect. They're not meant to color them perfect right on. I played with it a little bit yesterday because when I got on yesterday, I thought, oh, I did this before and it worked. And then I remembered after I got on my class, got off my live, that yes, indeed, I did use it on there, but it does not cover, like it does not line up exactly. So don't get upset if you're working with it and it does not line up exactly. Okay, so most of my watercolor paper has dried. Okay, it's pretty dry, but I don't get fingerprints on it when I go across it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take that same shaded spruce. So I'm just working with one ink color today, and I'm going to do some greenery, and it's going to go up this way. And you're going to see that bleeds a little bit. I'm not going to say that other word. And that is the effect that I am wanting. So we're going to do these two on here. And because the paper is still wet, that ink is going to have some movement to it. And it's doing exactly what I want it to do. Okay, we're just going to let it dry just a little bit more. You can see in some areas it was a little bit drier. Here we didn't have any color, so we have a very crisp image. Okay, I'm just going to wave this a little bit. I want that ink to dry. I could use my heat gun, but we're back to the basics and we don't have a heat gun yet. Okay, now I'm going to take this image here. I'm going to ink it up in the ink pad. Then I'm going to what we call stamp off on my mat. Okay, get most of that ink off. And now I'm going to put it here onto my leaves. I'm going to push, and all I'm trying to do is getting a little bit more color in on those leaves, and see how that effect is. Okay, and even though we didn't have much ink in there, because look, we've stamped off quite a bit of ink. Now on this side, there's going to be some areas that are going to have more ink or be more of a solid image just because there's no water underneath it. So I'm talking about right here, and see how these are a little bit drier. So that's going to dry up. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my stamp while that is drying. Okay. So we need to have that good and dry so we can tape it onto our mat. And this is going to be a horizontal card today. So it looks like it's pretty dry. So let's get our tape on there. And that is our simple background. Okay. I'm going to put that right on here. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to rub it because I want that tape to stick really well. Okay, and because we dampened that watercolor paper, it might have a tendency of not sticking. So we've got that. Okay, so I should have showed you a paper saving technique, but I'm not going to be using the shaded spruce. This is going to go on next, but I do want to use the red ribbon. Now this is part of our Real Red and Garden Green combo pack. The Garden Green would go, it would coordinate with it, but I like the Real Red on here better. And we're just going to take that and wrap that around to the back. We're not going to do anything fancy with it. So I'm going to trim that off. And then I'm going to grab my tear and tape. I'm just going to place this on just about where I'm going to want it to go. I want it right about in there. Okay, so we're going to grab the tear and tape, tear a piece off, hold this on so it's tight, and wrap that right over the top of it. Now that is going to hold that ribbon there while we work with our layer. And then I'm going to take a peek at this side, make sure that it's going straight across, hold it taut, doesn't have to be real tight, and then place that. Okay, now I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal and go around the other edges where we don't have tape on. And I'm going to put one across the middle a little bit. Now I'm going to rub my tear and tape. Okay, in this, we rub this, and you can use your bone folder if you want, so you get a good rub on it. And then you can take your pick tool and lift off that protective layering, so that will tape this card down also. And once again, it's holding that ribbon down, making it much easier to work with. We want to make sure that our crease is at the top. Okay, I'm just going to hold this down right here. Okay, once again, I'm going to turn it upside down and rub it. And the reason why I'm turning it upside down again is because the paper is still just a little bit damp. Okay, so we've got that. So now we're going to grab a scrap of Real Red, and we are going to punch out. Hopefully this piece is big enough. I didn't grab a piece before I came on. I don't think it's going to be. Nope. Oh, I'm looking in my scraps here. I don't think I have a piece that's big enough. Oh, yes, I do. Got a piece right here. Okay, and this is our decorative circle punch. I am in love with this punch. It's just got a cool shape to it. And that's going to be placed right there. I am going to punch out a happy birthday. You know what? I'm going to do just a note because I can use that for anything. And I'm going to my go-to greetings. I have been going to this one a lot lately, and I love this just a note. And I think this is going to fit right inside the punch. It's stuck to my finger. I was just looking for it. But it's going to stick right into that. Now remember, we're only using one color ink. So I'm going to grab the shaded spruce. And I'm going to grab a smaller piece. I think I can get away with a smaller scrap of basic white. Make sure I get a good ink on there. Hold that. Look at that. Gorgeous. I just love the stamp set. It has happy birthday, just a note, thinking of you, and just a note, and thank you in it in three different fonts and three different sizes. Okay, I'm going to punch that out right there. Okay, so we're almost done with our card here. So we're going to take this and put it on here. And I am lining it up with this little curvature and this little curvature so that it's, and I'm lining that up and this one up to that so it's straight. I'm going to grab some dimensionals. Oh, this sheet only got this little piece on here, so we're going to go ahead and use that. And then I've got some minis here, so we'll just use the minis. I just want to make sure I get the top and the bottom. So I want to do my dimensionals here and here because the ribbon will be in between. Let's get these on really quick. It's really fun to add just a little bit of dimension to your cards. And a very popular place to do it is with your sentiments. You're doing a simple card like this. Okay, now we're going to cover that up just like that in the center. Okay, pretty much we're done with this except for the inside. And the inside, ooh, I don't have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece, so I am not going to decorate the inside today. But I would just stamp one of these leaves on the inside. But I think that this needs a little bit more to it, don't you? I'm going to close up protect that painter brush. So I'm reaching for our red and green adhesive back pearls. So we have some choices. We have silver, gold, what color is that? Soft succulent would also coordinate with this, but it would give it a softer green tone to it, and it would bring up the greens, or we could go bright red. I am thinking I want to go with the soft succulent. Just to be different, I wanted the theme to be December, but we already have our red and green, and I feel that that is ample to give that idea of being in December. Let's put this one way up here. We can put it off. So we've got 5 of those up there. Okay, so there is our card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's gorgeous in real life. I don't know if you can tell, but those little pearls give it just that little bit of sparkle. So, in honor of World Watercolor Month, I urge you to try a watercolor wash and using the Splendid Day Suite to at least the stamp set to create some holiday themed cards also. Now, holiday theme does not mean you have to have, something for Christmas or whatever. Just the colors make it that theme. So you can do anniversary cards, your birthday cards, just a note, thinking of you, thank you. So I hope you enjoyed today's class, and until we meet again, happy stamping, everybody.